What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing you a deck profile on my Ghostricks. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ghostricks are a flip deck that gain effects when they're flip face up. Of course, the monsters themselves aren't flip monsters, but so aka the deck is slow. Now, this isn't the first flip deck I've ever done. Well, it's the first I've ever done on this channel. But my very first deck that had an archetype was a flip deck. It was crawlers. That's actually where I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! My first deck was crawlers, so I'm a little bit partial to both insect and flip decks. I like them. Leave a comment on which deck you'd like me to do in a deck profile, and I'll pick in the deck with the most votes for each month. I will do a deck profile on. So it's kind of your guys my way of giving you guys a little power. If you want me to do a deck profile on weather painters, then I'll be doing a deck profile on weather painters. If you want me to do it on Eldritch, for example, I'll do a deck profile on Eldritch. But you gotta vote. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. First up, I run 3 Ghostrick Jingashi. Now the one downside to the Ghostrick monsters is that if cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghostrick monster. So you have to either special summon them or set them, which is a bit of a downside, but you get more from setting them than just normal summon them regularly anyway. So Jingashi is your searcher of the deck. I also run 3 Jack Frost. This is kind of like a Book of Moon. I guess that's kind of essentially what this is. Although I do not run a Book of Moon in this deck because there's other ways to essentially just flip all of your opponent's monsters face down. Well, except for Links. Obviously, that's why this deck doesn't really see play anymore, just because thanks to Link, it's not really as good. I also run 3 Phantom Mary and 3 Lantern. Sadly, I do not have the actual cards of these because they're like $5 each, and you run like 3, and I run like 3 of them, so that's like $60 just from that alone. So for a deck that I'm probably not gonna bring to a tournament, I'm not gonna spend $60 on, unless it's like the entirety of that deck. I also run a 2 Ghostrick Fairy. It's kind of like a Monster Reborn of the deck. I also run a 2 Skeleton. Now, I'd say this is, out of all the Ghostrick, this is probably my favorite, because this one banishes cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of Ghostrick monsters you control. So let's say you control 3 Ghostrick monsters, you banish the top 3 from your opponent's deck, and depending on what deck they're playing, that could actually hurt quite a bit. If it's like a combo deck, kind of like Eldritch and Adamantipator, that can really hurt. I also run 1 Ghostrick Stein. Ghostrick Stein, if you inflict battle damage, to your opponent, you can add 1 Ghostrick spell or trap from deck to hand. So that's your spell and trap searcher, but only if you inflict damage, sadly. Next, I run 1 Ghostrick Doll. This is a card I'm actually thinking of bumping up maybe to 2 or 3. Now that I think about it, but right now I only have 1. Ghostrick Doll is essentially during the end phase you can have all face-up monsters flip face down. So, and then you can special summon 1 Ghostrick monster from your deck and face down defense position. So that's pretty good. So now I think about it, this is definitely one you want to bump up, maybe take out like Jack Frost or something, but right now that's just what I have. Well, it is a flip deck. So I also run 3 Morphing Jar number 2 and 1 Morphing Jar. I'm surprised this hasn't gone to like 2 or 3 already, because while yes, Morphing Jar is a good card, but flip effects they're just slow. That's why crawlers were never really meta. That's why this was able to come back to 3. And if this can come back to 3, I think this can come back, because in my opinion, Morphing Jar is a lot stronger. Now, if you don't know what a Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2 does, well, I'll be surprised if you don't know what Morphing Jar does. Both players discard their hands and then draw 5 cards. That's really it. It's a draw power, essentially. And number 2 returns all monsters on the field to their owner's decks, and then you excavate cards equal to the number that were returned. And special summon all level 4 or lower monsters to the field face down, and then discard the rest. So, it's pretty good. Moving on to the spells, I run 3 Ghostrick Mansion and the obvious Terraforming. Ghostrick Mansion is kind of like your protection, because monsters cannot attack face down defense position monsters, but can attack directly if all monsters their opponent controls are face down defense position. So this is kind of to help. It also helps get Stein to go off, as well as it halves all the battle damage you pretty much receive. Next, I have a card I never thought I'd be putting in any deck: Swords of Concealing Light. Swords of Concealing Light, when it's activated, you can change all monsters your opponent controls on the field to face down defense position. And while this card is face on the field, monsters on your opponent's side of the field cannot change their battle position, except with a card effect. And it's destroyed during second standby phase after activation. So you use it to kind of like Pokemoon your opponent's entire field, as well as stop them from being flipped face up again. Moving on to traps, I run 3 Ghostrick Scare. Ghostrick Scare allows you to target any number of face down defense position monsters you control, change them to face up, then count the number of Ghostrick monsters among them, and if you do, change that many monsters your opponent controls face down. So it's a way to kind of help trigger off your Ghostrick's effects by flipping them face up. Next, I run 2 Ghostrick Vanish. This protects Ghostrick cards and face down defense position monsters you control by making them unable to be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So it's kind of your protection. 2 Storming Mirror Force. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what Storming Mirror Force does, considering it was the one Mirror Force card that actually has seen competitive play. Well, Mirror Force also saw some, but not anymore because it got power crept by this. But considering you're doing a lot of setting, this is definitely a card your opponent's not going to see coming. And honestly, it's just fun to use. It's a card that, in my opinion, it's just fun to use. Now the last 3 trap cards, the last trap card is one that I haven't seen anyone put in their like, I looked up some other Ghostrick deck profiles to kind of get an idea of what the deck is, how does it run, all that. And I'm surprised I haven't seen it in any of the deck profiles. And that is 3 World Legacy Pawns. This allows you to flip a face down defense position monster face up. Well, you can't use the other effect because you don't run crawlers. It helps with getting your Ghostrick monsters face up, so that's why I run 3 World Legacy Pawns. Now moving on to the extra deck, I run 2 Ghostrick Dullahan. This does like changes attack and all that. Next, I run 1 Succubus. Yeah, I think I pronounced it right. I actually quite like this one. Essentially, this allows you to destroy one monster your opponent can destroy one face-up monster on your opponent's field, and as long as you control a Ghostrick monster, they cannot use that zone. It's definitely something that can, I guess, one of your ways that you can kind of hurt your opponent. Next, I run 3 Alucard, as well as 3 Ghostrick Angel of Mischief. The Angel of Mischief can essentially be summoned using Ghostrick's XYZ monster, similar to like Zodiac's. And this also has a, I'd say this is basically one of your win conditions. When the number of XZ materials on this card becomes 10, you win the duel. And once returning, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, add 1 Ghostrick spell trap card from deck to hand. So this is definitely I guess like the main XZ or something like that. If you can get to have 10 materials, awesome. Next, I run mostly just a bunch of random links. Honestly, This is the part where you can just change it however you want. It's kind of whatever else you want to run. And that is, I run 3 Link Revo. Got some level 1s in this deck, so why not? I also run a Nightmare Phoenix, Crusader Aquamax, Borosword Dragon, and Access Code Talker. Those are the links I run. That's going to do all for this Ghostrick deck profile. And of course, once again, leave a comment down below on which deck profile you want me to do, because I may just end up doing it. That's all for this video. Bye.